And I walked out there, they were hating me.
Yeah, and obviously.
Let's try to see if we can sync it up today. Let's see if we know the podcast intro together.
Ready? One, two, three. Welcome to the Love and Comedy Podcast with your hosts, Aurora Singh and Drew Schaefer. This is a podcast where we discuss love and comedy.
And the twist.
Wait, where we discuss what it's like pursuing love and pursuing a career in stand-up comedy.
That's going to sound like two tracks got played at the wrong time.
The twist, your comedian host happened to be married.
What? That's
we did it.
We did it. That's the sign of a not memorized introduction. Just the gist of it.
Oh my God. This is like episode almost 30 and we're like still not. Okay. Anyways, what are we doing today?
Today we're talking about bombing, which is ironic because that intro
just bombed our little tushies off. Yes. Okay. Let's talk about bombing. Bombing in love. Bombing in comedy. Oh, love bomb too. Remember we kind of talked about that before?
Yeah, that's different. That's
a different.
That's a manipulation strategy. It's not actually bombing.
It's still bad though.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It is
anything
bad.
With the word bomb, you can probably just like assume it's going to be a bad thing.
Bath bomb.
Oh, that's a good thing.
There we go.
Oh
no, it destroys bathtubs.
Does it?
Yeah, it leaves stains on them and stuff a lot.
Oh well.
I work in property management, so we can tell when somebody used too many bath bombs.
Oh, well, at least they were clean. Okay, what's bombing? Why are we talking about bombing? Are we in TSA?
No, we're not. We're not terrorists. We're not doing anything bad.
I didn't say that.
TSA, that's what they prevent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I meant like, are we TSA looking for not like weird?
I thought you were saying we were. I was like,
oh my God. Okay, what's a bomb? Why are we talking about bombing?
So in comedy, there's bless you.
Okay, it's fine. Go.
Good. Got it. I won. In comedy, bombing is basically when you don't do well. So like a true bomb is when you do your best and nobody laughs.
Yeah.
And there's different variations depending on how far into comedy you are, new versus old. Like I just did a show with a headliner and he did great. And he walked off stage. He was like, man, I bombed. I'm like,
yeah, there's different like, yeah, you're exactly right. There's different ways to feel like you bombed because there's extreme bombing, which is
like getting booed off stage or like people heckling over you, like
talking over you,
everybody looking the other direction, watching the TV behind you. Like
you've done. Yeah. And then there's bombing where you're a seasoned comedian and you just don't do as good as you know you can.
Yeah.
And that in your mind, you're like, I just bombed. And by not doing good, meaning the crowd didn't laugh as hard as you wanted them to. But in the beginning, like a bomb could be like literally nobody laughs.
Yeah.
Like you go on stage, you do your best and everyone just stares at you. No reaction. Like, they're like, what?
We're not in your head. We don't get why you're laughing.
Understand.
Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. And then, but then you're seasoned and you go up and like, just because of your stage presence or whatever, or you have fans, then people laugh and giggle, but they don't laugh and giggle as hard as you want. And so you're like, oh my God, I just went up and bombed. Yeah. Where if you did that in your first week of comedy, people would be like, they're the greatest.
They're so funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like that. Yeah. It's just, you're comparing different stages of it and you're like freaking out. But like a bomb, you get this internal feeling too on like, I'm not doing very well. Like you get the sweat starts, the throat gets dry, like
sweats.
Dry mouth, like you start to, your heart
it's
races.
The sweating for me. I sweat.
Like that second, I sweat really bad. That second voice in your head starts like getting really loud. Like, what do we do? Like, you have a planning brain and a performing brain, and the planning brain starts getting big. Like, oh, they're not laughing at anything about football. I need to talk about
overthink. Sometimes I like forget my jokes because I'm thinking about it so hard.
Yeah.
And then there's also bombing in relationships, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
There's definitely ways to mess up a relationship. But the point of talking about bombing today isn't so much like the negative of like, oh my God, bombing, and it's terrible.
And it's over forever.
It's over forever, but it's how do you come out of it?
Yep.
Because just like in comedy, like you can bomb and then people quit. They're like, I'm never doing this again. Yeah. And then in a relationship, you can bomb and do something terrible. Not do something terrible, but I mean like drop the ball in a sense.
Make a mistake, drop
the
ball, yeah.
And then both of you can be like, all right, I'm good. Or you guys can work through it and learn and then become stronger. Every time I've bombed on stage or in life and I've worked through it, I've become stronger on the other side. So that's kind of the point of what we're talking about.
Yeah, failure is a chance. It's just a learning opportunity. Like,
and we sound so wise.
We do, yeah.
But we like are so dumb.
Yeah,
you know?
We are so dumb. Also, this is the second time we're recording the intro. So we have failed and learned from that failure to give you the best intro to this episode.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so to start our love section of the pod, of this episode.
The love section.
Love, it's time for love in the podcast episode.
Yeah, love.
We are going to do 2 truths and a lie. So these are going to be bombing in a relationship, truths and a lie.
Ways that like a first date or early on into a relationship, it just ruined it.
It ruined it.
Because they bombed in such a way that you're like, there's no coming back from that.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. You go first.
All right. My 2 truths and a lie. Number 1, the girl told her kid to call me dad.
Okay.
Number 2, at the end of the date, she gave me a handshake. Oh. Or number 3, the girl gave a lap dance to another guy at the bar.
Okay. So 2 of those are true.
2 of those are true.
What was the second one you said? You said the dad, the lap dance. What was the second one?
At the end of the date, she gave me a handshake.
She shook your hand.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say the kid is a lie.
You're right.
I knew it.
I have dated some moms.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like you haven't dated enough moms, and I also feel like I've heard the lap dance story, and I feel like the handshake just seems on brand.
Very on brand, yeah. And like, I don't know if it was me or her that really initiated it, but I feel like we both were like, this is what this date deserves. Like, this was not a date by the end of it.
Yeah.
It was just like, nice business lunch with you. Now let's go to class. It was in college, and yeah,
maybe she didn't think it was a date.
No, she definitely did.
Oh, okay.
But for me, on my side, like during the date, she was like, yeah, I'm just not really into just dating one guy. Like, I don't want to be exclusive.
My God. Which is fine. But like, that's not why you were there.
That's not why I was there. And then
that's probably why she gave you a handshake.
Yeah.
She was like, this isn't
going to work.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm like, I think maybe like a hug was what she wanted. She definitely like still hung out with me a lot. So I'm like, I think she thought it was still worthy of pursuing, but I'm like, the handshake just showed at that point it was just friendship. It wasn't like...
Yeah.
And she was still trying to like go on dates because she just was going on dates with everybody apparently.
She was just trying to get free food. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I totally did the same thing. I feel it. Yeah, it was definitely not the kid thing.
No.
Although that would definitely be a bomb where we would have to be like, no.
That would be one, yeah. On a first date or like first time you meet the kid early into a relationship.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah,
so have you met a kid early on in a relationship? Or someone that you were dating?
Yeah. Who was it? It was somebody in college.
Don't say names. I mean, say names, actually. Say it.
There was a girl in college. She had a kid. She introduced me, but she didn't say call him dad or anything. But I was just like, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
Because I was like 19. I was like,
no.
Like,
oh my God.
She was older. She was like, she had gone back to school.
I met you older than that, and I know you weren't ready for a kid even at that age.
No. But she was older going back to school, and I was like, no.
Was she hot though? Oh,
I guess. I mean,
no, that means that was a big hesitation.
I'm not a hot guy, so I would. So like getting yeah.
They're just kidding.
Getting you was like my big like get like was the like oh yay like
you're ridiculous.
Yeah,
you're silly. Okay,
but she was fun.
She was fun.
Yeah.
Did you try to make another baby with her?
No. God, no. No.
Oh, yeah, you didn't. That was too soon.
That was too soon.
You didn't
yeah.
lose your
virginity until I was 20.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
On the podcast. It's official.
So cute.
I hope that's not a security question anywhere. Could you imagine?
You're so worried about security questions. No one.
People keep trying to scam me.
Okay.
I just had another one this week.
Did they call you?
No, but they like literally they tried to get my signature on something.
Oh,
then they asked for my name and bank.
Yeah.
So I gave them a fake signature, and then when they dropped we just need your bank account. I was
no, absolutely not. Yeah. Well, I have people actually calling me.
Yeah. I just don't ever answer the phone, so they've probably tried calling.
I know, but then I have industry people calling me, and I'm
leave
like,
a message.
But I don't want
calling
to.
And they better leave a message.
No, opportunity calls and I'm answering. Hi, it's Aurora. What do you need me to do?
Yeah, more scams than opportunities. That's what you're getting.
Oh my God. Okay, should I do mine now?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so bad at this game. Hold on, I thought of 2 truths. We'll cut this a little bit if I can. Yeah. If it takes me a second. 2 truths and a lie. I forgot about my 2 truths. What were my 2 truths? Okay, that's one. Okay. 2 truths and a lie. I'm so bad at this game. Okay.
Get better.
Get better at this game, everybody. Okay, here's my 2 truths and a lie. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
I'm so ready. I'm going to watch your face to see.
Wait, hold on. I'm still trying to think of the lie. Give me a second.
Okay. We will cut all this just in case you forget. I will do a song.
Babe, you're not. You're making it. I'm getting distracted now.
Just focus on you.
Okay. Okay, I got one.
You got one? Okay.
I think, yeah. Okay. 2 truths and a lie.
2 truths and a lie.
One time a guy tried to kiss me with something in his teeth. It wasn't you. It wasn't you. None of these are you.
Okay.
It's just I dated so long ago. It's hard to remember like the bomb parts.
Yeah.
One time a guy stopped, like he picked me up to go on a date, and then he's like, "Oh, I gotta stop to get gas." I don't know if that's like a bomb or just like an ick. I was like, what the like you couldn't have gotten gas before the date?
Wow, okay.
Like I'd rather you just text me and been like, I'll be a few minutes late.
This is like what we're talking about where bombing means different things to different people at different stages. You're like, literally, you can't even pre-plan your gas around me.
We were like, I was just sitting in his car. Like it was like weird. And then the third one.
So that's true. That's what we're hearing.
The third one is, he was upset that I didn't offer to split the bill.
Okay.
Wait. Yes.
Okay, that's sus. That's sus, sis. That's sus. The way you said it, like, is that the lie?
No,
did that actually happen? That was the lie, but that actually happened.
I think I accidentally did 2 lies and a truth.
Oh, you did 2 lies and a truth?
Okay, pick the true. I messed up.
The true is the gas, for sure.
No.
No? Oh, you trickster. Stuff in the teeth.
Is true.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
And the lie.
The gas is a lie, and also the money thing was a lie. I don't know why I said that. It's the truth. But that would be a bomb. That would be a bomb.
You would like be like, nope, over. You wanted me to split the check on the first date.
It wasn't that. Is that he got mad.
Oh, he got mad.
Well, not like mad, but he was like upset, like kind of like frustrated, like,
gotcha.
Like, yeah, I mean, it would have been cool if you like offered, like I would have paid. I was going to pay for the dinner, but it was just like annoying that you like just assumed. And I was like, but you invited me on this date. Yeah. I feel like if you invite the person, you should pay, like in the beginning.
Yeah, I think so too.
So he invited me. So I was like, what?
Yeah. Okay.
But, that like didn't happen fully that way, so that's why it's like kind of a true but kind of a lie.
So you did 1 truth, 1 lie, 1 half truth.
Yeah.
That's why we can't have nice things on the podcast. You notice like the games are only for our guests because every time we give a game to Aurora, she's like, how do I not play the game right? Like we played tic-tac-toe and she just puts her toe everywhere.
I can't remember all the details of it. And I'm like, something's missing in that story, but like it's like a lot of it's true, but something is missing.
Yeah.
Oh well. We tried.
So those are
So what? So
okay. Those are ways to bomb early on.
And Aurora, we learned Aurora is not good at these games.
No. Okay. So we'll know that for the next episode.
Jeez, I told you before we played. I was like, I'm not good at this game. I told you in the car.
You did?
I told you right before. I told you.
And I thought that was a lie. So I'm not good at the game either.
Okay. So let's do this. I want you to tell me what's one time in this relationship that you have quote unquote bombed, where you failed and it was a bad reaction from me and it was like a bad moment. Because the thing with bombing is like you do something wrong, or not wrong, but you do something that you think is like right in the moment, and it's not received well, and then you go, oh, it's something I need to change, and then you get better from it.
Yeah.
Right? So definitely. What's something in our relationship where that has happened to you?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to start by like bringing up, like we said in comedy, like different stages have different definitions and like how well you recover. Like the game was like...
Do you like this?
No. I'm going to pause then.
We're not pausing. This is just keep going.
No, I don't. You're over here just...
My nose is running. This happens all the time. Okay, go.
Okay. So, like, I think it's important to bring up that, like, we just did a game where early on, when you bomb, it's, like, irredeemable. And it's the same thing, like, sort of like in comedy. When you bomb early on, you can't save the set. It's done. Like, you don't have the skills to save it, rescue it. But when you're in a relationship, that's where you can start learning from it, or you can save it a little bit. Like where the headliner's like, oh, I just bombed. I'm like, dude, you did 35 of your 45 minutes seemed like they were on your special. And 10 minutes of it that was brand new seemed like new jokes. So it's like the same thing in a relationship where it's like, now that we're in it, it's like the bombing is a chance to learn and grow.
Okay. So what's the time that you've bombed?
So a time that's happened. There was a time recently, I don't remember what you...
Oh, it's recent.
Yeah, pretty recent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a time not too long ago where you had like a big accomplishment and I didn't take the time to truly appreciate it and show how cool it was and like celebrate with you.
I think I know what this was.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly which one, but...
It was Magic Mike.
Okay, that one, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like, for me, I'm like, it felt like...
So for context,
yeah,
I recently signed with a theatrical agency, and which is in itself a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
I've been auditioning for about a year, and I finally got a really big callback to host. My callback was to audition. Well, my callback was to be the host of Magic Mike Live in Las Vegas.
Yeah, big.
And so the callback was in person. It was in LA. They were only meeting with a few people, a few women, and I happened to be, out of all the people that they auditioned and saw, I was one of the few people that, like, I sent in my audition on Monday morning, and then Monday afternoon they're like, we want to meet her on Thursday in LA. So I packed everything up and I drove to LA a couple days later. And it was like a huge deal. Like, to get a callback is a very big deal in the industry.
Yeah. And to me, it was like not making a huge deal out of it because it wasn't a guarantee yet. And for me, I felt like if I was celebrating it, that it would only set the expectations up higher. And then if it didn't come true, then it would be more devastating, more crushing. And you were sort of like very gung-ho and excited about
this
it.
Also happened with too.
And yeah, like same sort of thing where it's like,
I did audition for and I had to come up with my own characters. This happened twice this year, babe.
Yeah.
You bombed twice.
I know. But it's, things where like my method of coping in those situations is like, don't get too overhyped on it, because if it doesn't come true, then all that hype just becomes crushing devastation. So like not getting too into it, not getting too hyped. And you were very hyped. And so
what was the effect on me?
That it hurt. It made it feel like I didn't think it was a big deal, that you weren't doing enough, that it wasn't good. Like,
it made me feel like it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
To sell, like it wasn't worth celebrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so from that, I was like, okay, I'm doing this to help her, protect her, doing the right thing. Like, this is a good way, a healthy way to do this. But it had a negative impact. So it's like something where from that bombing, we discussed it. And now it's like, we got to celebrate these things. Like, you're a strong person. You're also having those same sort of doubts and stuff like that. So me trying to sort of like shelter you from that isn't helpful.
Yeah, because like it can't, because like obviously it hurt me.
Yeah.
Because I was excited, but then it felt like you weren't. But I think that after we talked about it, you realized that, and I realized, I'll say what I realized. I realized that you were trying to protect me. Mm-hmm. And I instead was like, no, I was reassuring you. It was my job to reassure you. I'm not delusional. I don't think this is like the beginning of the rest of my life, but like I've been working at getting better at acting and doing all this for a year. Mm-hmm. And I've been working my ass off for almost 9 years in stand up to like get to these auditions, and like to be invited for a callback is a huge thing.
Yeah.
To be invited to audition for, that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not delusional. I don't think I'm going to just like get it and then the whole thing's going to, but also that could happen just as much as me not getting it, because I did get there.
Yeah.
And either way, it's like, I'm just excited to be in front. Like, what we need to be celebrating, and what I was telling you was that now I'm getting in front of these people. Yep. It's not so much that like, oh my God, I got a call back and then I'm going to meet Channing Tatum and we're going to just, it's going to go off from there.
Yeah.
It's, I got an audition. I got a call back. I'm meeting Hollywood casting directors in person. Mm-hmm. They're going to see me, talk to me. And that is what matters. Yeah. Because then they're going to get another project and then they're going to be like, oh, we should call that Aurora. Remember Aurora? She wasn't good for that, but she might be good for this. Fit for this, yeah. Let's send her this audition. Yeah. And that's what's important.
Exactly.
And so that was like, I was kind of like telling you, it's okay. Mm-hmm. We don't have to be scared. Yeah. Right now. Right. And then that was a moment in our relationship where you bombed essentially. Yeah. With the right intentions. Yeah. Like, you wanted to protect me, but it wasn't doing what you thought. It wasn't giving what you wanted it to give.
Yeah, you had those thoughts as well, but like,
and I had those thoughts too. Yes, like I also had those fears of like, oh my God, is this too much for me? Is it too soon? Like, I have all of those things, but you didn't know that because you didn't ask.
Yeah, I didn't hear it. It was like, you know, when people would be like, if I get this job versus when I get this job, like that kind of language.
And I talked like that. Yeah, I said when I get this.
And I'm if I get it. Yeah. So when I heard like you talking, I didn't hear the if. So I was like, oh no, like she's like convinced this is 100%. Like, I was scared for you and I didn't know how to express it.
In reality, I was just saying when so that I can accept that it could happen.
And that's where the confusion
But in the back
happened.
of my mind, it's like, I know. And it's not the first time I've heard no. I've been hearing no all year. This is the first time I've heard yes. Like, yeah. And let me take it.
That's what we needed to be celebrating. And I didn't realize that. Because we've all heard that comedian like 1 year in, like, oh, I'm going to go to New York and
Aurora
be famous. I'm
sounded a little delulu, and Drew got a little scared
and protective.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
So it was the good intentions. I was trying to do
bombed your ass off.
My ass off. And now we learn to celebrate the yeses.
Celebrate the yeses. Any yes you get in this industry, you gotta celebrate it. Like, it's otherwise it's gonna be really difficult to keep pushing. Yeah. If you don't celebrate the small wins. Okay, I'm gonna think of a bomb. Okay. I can think of mine don't have so much to do with comedy. I feel like I've always been like the girlfriend of the rapper that's like, you can do it, babe. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Always, you got this.
Like the rapper
no matter how
that's
bad
like,
I am.
Yeah, the dream of the girlfriend of the DJ that's like, you got this.
Speaking of which, I want to be a rapper. You good with this?
No.
Bomb. She's bombing. She's bombing.
Stick to stand up.
Knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater.
You're already just stealing other people's lyrics. Come on now.
I was gonna change that word.
Oh, okay.
You interrupted my flow before I could say.
Oh, I interrupted your flow. Yeah. Okay, that was a flow. All right.
I'm from 6 Mile Road.
Okay, so stupid. Okay,
you better find yourself.
A time that I've bombed in this relationship. I've bombed a lot of times.
Which one? Yeah, which one?
Okay, I had that many times.
I had the same thought. I was like, which one? And I was like, that's the one that I feel like I learned the most from, and I think was like the most recent, so I knew the most.
I think that well, I'm thinking of a couple. One time that I know that I bombed and like so the point is like that I had good intentions.
Yes.
Right. And I feel like not so much recently, but there's been points in this relationship where I've tried to like teach you or show you different things to like in my opinion improve your life or like make your life easier, but instead it just came across as you're doing everything wrong.
Yeah.
And that's like a bomb for me because like my intention is to be like, oh, well, you can, you know, you should do this before bed or you should do this for your skincare and blah, blah, blah. Instead of being like more encouraging and being like, look, this is what I do and it helps me. Do you want to try it?
Yeah.
Instead I'd be like, no, you should be doing this. And my intention is always to like make your life easier. Like, don't put this here because it would be easier in the morning and you're just like, let me just live my fucking life.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, but there's different ways to approach that. And that's what I learned through the bombing of you. Because your response and your feeling when I'm doing these things is like, oh my God, I'm doing this wrong. She doesn't think I can make decisions. She is like judging me. I'm afraid to even try it now because she's going to tell me, have a comment about it. And that's like a terrifying feeling to like not know like where you're like, when are you going to be criticized or something? Yeah. And in your opinion, it's like, or in your mind, you think you're being criticized. In my mind, I'm like, I'm helping him.
Yeah.
And there's a different way to communicate it now that I've learned.
Yeah. And it's
coming out of that bombing situation in our relationship.
Exactly. It's learning. Cause it would be like, oh yeah, is she going to tell me I cut the sandwich wrong, that it has to be diagonal instead of down the middle?
And
like,
now I've changed my mindset to be like, oh, he cut the sandwich. That's good.
Yeah, he's not.
That's good.
He's not devouring in one. Yeah.
You know how many guys wouldn't do that? Or like people like, or like things like, even if you bring me something now that isn't exactly the way that I would want it, I'm like, oh, he brought it for me though.
Bingo.
That's the part that matters. And if it's something that's really bothered, like if let's say
we all have
yeah. let me say like if you brought me pasta on a plate instead of a bowl, I probably wouldn't say shit. I would be like, thank you so much. At this point, I'd be like, thank you. He did it. And then when I'm done with it, I'd be like, maybe like if you ask me how was it, I'd be like, it was so good, but next time can I have it in a bowl?
Yeah.
I think that would be received more. Better. What do you think?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I probably would not say anything.
Yeah, showing the gratitude instead of the first reaction being this is wrong. It's like,
yeah. Just seeing it and like in a second I'm like, this should be in a bowl. Yeah. But then in my mind I'm like, but he made pasta, he cooked, he cleaned up after himself, he brought me like, I'm happy, thank you. Yeah. If you want a comment, I'd rather have it in a bowl.
Yeah. It's like unsolicited feedback is what we always talk about.
Yeah. And I think I gave a lot of unsolicited feedback for a while. And that was a huge relationship bomb for me. And I have to, I'm still learning to get out of that habit. Yeah. But I'm doing better.
Way better. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear all the things that you did wrong today?
No, I already know. Today's been one of those days where I know.
Really? Like what?
Not waking us up early enough.
Oh, well, that wasn't on you.
It was a little bit on me.
Was it?
I woke up at like 10 and I was like, I'm a little bit awake. And next thing I know, I was like, it's noon. It is noon. I should have woken you up right away.
No, I don't think so. Okay. I don't think so. No. That was both of us. Okay. We're both adults. We could have gotten up. One of us could have gotten up.
Yeah.
See, things like that. In the past, I might have been like, why? But now I'm like, we're both grown adults.
Still trained where I'm like, yeah, I messed up. I should have woken you up at 10. You're like,
no, that's not your responsibility.
Yeah. Even when I woke up at 12 and didn't wake you up till 12:15.
I know.
Not your responsibility. I was half awake. I thought it was still 10.
This is growth.
This is growth
for me. Not to blame Drew for everything.
All right. So bombing on stage, which, you know what? I'm not familiar with it at all.
Yeah,
I've never done it.
Experienced it, huh?
I'm Mr. Consistency.
Consistently bombing. So now it's just all, you can't even tell what it is.
It's just all the same. Yeah. No. I feel like there's like comedians out there that are like, you need to bomb because otherwise you're not taking risks. Like, I know I could go out there and do a very like hacky or very basic set that everybody gets. It's very relatable. It's like all about like online dating and Nickelback. Like I could do a basic set that's accessible to everybody and do well. But I'm trying to take risks. So there are times where you tell a joke and nobody laughs.
That's such an interesting thing to bring up because we were just talking about this the other day with a comedian about bombing and how beneficial it can be. Oh, yes. It can be so good.
Yep.
But it's hard in the beginning to know that it is a good thing. And it's also hard to understand in the beginning of like the process of bombing, how many times you should be bombing versus how many times you should be doing well.
Definitely.
Because the only way you get bigger opportunities is by being consistently funny.
Yeah.
But how do you become, like, when should you start being consistently funny? It's a very, I don't even know if I truly understand it myself, even at this point, being this far into stand-up.
It's very interesting because I look back and like in Reno, I was consistently funny as the host at Pioneer, but I was a consistent 4 or 5, like compared to like how I feel, like how I should have been.
But like right now, you're like, that's not.
I'm like, that was a 4 or 5. I did well, and it was consistent. There was like almost never a 0 set. There was like rarely a 10, but I had a very like small range. It was like between like 4 and a 6. Most of my sets were like that level of comedy. Yeah. Versus like I should have been
same.
Like, and I hit that very early and I just stayed at it for a long time. So I wasn't able to get those 10s.
And then there's people that I've seen for years and years and years, and they've been bombing for years. And they never, Yeah, because you're doing well then would be considered a bomb today.
Yeah.
So, but then how did you get from consistently being a 4 or 5 back then to consistently being like a 7 to 9 now?
Yeah. Thank you for ranking me the same way I would rank myself.
Yeah, like 7 to 9 now, like, and a 6 would be bombing.
Yeah.
Right? Where 7 to 9 is like, I can go to sleep easy tonight.
Yeah.
But a 6, you're like, oh hell, like that was,
yeah,
I gotta work. I like when I do a 6 set, I'm like, and we're just doing a 1 to 10 scale here.
Yeah.
Like we just made these numbers up. But when I do that, I'm like, I got some work to do.
That was the late show Friday night that you watched. For me, I was like, that was like a 6. And I was so disappointed. I was like, I don't even want to host the rest of the weekend. They're probably going to fire me. Like, I was so upset by it.
But I watched your set and it was great. Like from the audience, it was good. You watched the tape and you're like, oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
It wasn't as bad as I thought, but it wasn't as good. It wasn't as good as the early show. So I was comparing it, and it's so So I don't know. I think, okay, let's just say this. I think in the beginning of stand up, you should be bombing 90% of the time. You should be.
I think, because I think in the first year or two, I'll say the first year, you should be bombing 90% of the time because you're trying everything. Yeah. You're doing everything to figure out what's working, how, especially if you're going on stage 5-6 times a week, hopefully. You should be bombing because you're trying to find your voice, your rhythm, your cadence, what works for you. What do you want to talk about? What your humor is? Is this too far for you? Is it too light for you? Like, you should be trying everything. So you should be failing and bombing a lot.
Yeah. And taking notes of what worked. Because it's like, I think there's like almost a downside to being good early. Because if you're getting laughs, it's probably basic premises, like low-hanging fruit, and you're getting laughs, and you're like, that's all I need to do forever. Yeah. Versus like, the comedians that are taking risks early on, like, this is something that only I talk about, only I think about. I'm going to try to tell this joke until the crowd gets it. Like, you should bomb a few times with like, oh, I have an opinion that, I don't know, like doctors are stupid just like any other profession. It's like, that's not going to hit every time, but if you keep working at it,
it could be a really good joke. Day, I don't know, guys. Just go bomb and learn. Bomb and learn. Okay, so how do you know?
Yeah, what are some signs?
Okay, I think a sign. So when you walk into a show and there's signs that you're going to bomb. I know right off the bat, TVs are on and there's a football game on. Yep. You're set up for failure.
Yeah, definitely.
right off the bat, because here's why. There's a football game going. People have been drinking, watching the football game. Yep. Number 1. Number 2, you can't stop if the game runs long, the show starts late. Yep. No one is going to be okay with you turning the game off to start a comedy show. Yep. Absolutely not. You want to start a riot?
Yeah,
You want to get a chair thrown at your head? Then don't do that. Well, then do that, and then you'll get a chair thrown at your head. And then the other thing is, then it starts late. The comedy show starts late. People are drunk. A lot of people leave.
Yeah.
And they don't really want to listen to you talk. That's just like the way it goes.
Yeah.
Another sign that that you're probably gonna bomb and not do well is the number of comedians on the lineup.
Yes.
Is a big sign. Not the type of comedians, not how funny they are. I'm not talking about anything with jokes.
Nope.
The number of comedians.
Yeah.
And how long the show is. That's going to be a huge indicator.
Yeah.
On if you bomb or not.
Yeah. Anything above 2 hours, like even the comedy clubs, like the Comedy Store in LA, they refresh the crowd like throughout the night. Like people leave, new people come in, because it's like 2 hours is about the attention span of a person. Anything after that, like even if they're
people gotta
like,
pee, people gotta eat.
Yeah,
you know, seats are uncomfortable.
They've heard too many jokes. Their brains are just like,
their jaws hurt.
Like there's so many reasons. So yeah, the number of comedians and length of show.
Yeah,
could be an automatic bomb, no matter how funny.
What else?
I think like when you start a set, I always use a joke that's a guaranteed hit. 99% of the time gets a huge reaction. If my first joke doesn't get a laugh, I'm like, they're not on my wavelength, or something else has impacted the show where they're just not ready to laugh.
It's game over.
It's game over.
Yeah.
Like the first one, if my first joke doesn't work, you can see the sweat instantly pour down like the side of my face. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be bad.
You gotta take a deep breath when that happens, my guy. You gotta take a deep breath, because you just gotta go and if your first joke bombs, you just gotta take a deep breath and go, I know it's coming, and then just roll with it.
I know that I've been working on it.
And stop sweating, because that's, if I feed into that stress, I start to sweat, and it's so bad. But if I take a deep breath, I'm like, all right, well, they just hate me, so let's just get this over with.
I did a show where you had to do like normal 8 minutes, then 8 brand new minutes you've never said before.
Yeah.
And at Laughs Unlimited.
Laughs Unlimited downtown.
Yep.
In Old Sacramento.
Old Sacramento. Love the club. Always have fun there. My first 8 minutes of good material did not go well. The crowd was not at all my demographic, did not live the life I led. Yeah. So they did not understand anything. I was like, okay, well, that's a sign that the new stuff has zero chance.
Right.
And then it proceeded to be the worst set of my life.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good. I mean, it's crazy because it's also like when you walk into a show, it is tough not to judge a book by its cover, because I've walked into a sold out room and the crowd sucks. Yeah. And I've walked into a room with like 6 audience members and the crowd was awesome. Yeah. So don't judge a book by its cover. I would say take in all the info around you, like football, number of comics, length of show, you know, what's the situation? Is there a party after? Like what's going on? Are you at a birthday party? You know? Yeah. So yeah,
I know why you said that, because that's going to lead into
to my we are going to talk about our specific stories of bad bombs that we've had.
I think just go into it right now.
Yeah, let's just do it. So
that was a perfect segue. Yeah.
Wait, do you want to tell yours first? Because I want to leave mine for that.
Okay, I think yours is pretty good. All right. So remember what she just said. Birthday.
Yeah, birthday and length of show and how many comedians. Okay, go ahead.
So I have a couple bombs, but I think
just a couple.
Like a couple memorable ones. There's just been a lot of like, suppress the memory of some of the really bad ones.
Fair.
Where I'm like, whatever, move on.
Yeah, fair.
Live to see another day. Good for you. Like, I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast or not, but one of my first hosting weekends at Pioneer Underground in Reno was for Joey Diaz. And you've heard this story so many times.
Oh,
yeah. You were?
Oh, yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah. We took I opened for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first off, when I started comedy, I was very cheesy, and like, especially at the club, I was like trying to keep it clean because the producer said, oh, I want clean comedians. I want clean comedians. Off the bat,
not Joey Diaz.
Not Joey Diaz. He sold out every show, and the people that come for Joey Diaz, like Joey Diaz got famous for being in prison, being like a tough gangster type, like very like
He says motherfucker and fuck every other word.
Every other word.
He's dirty. He's a storyteller.
Yeah, storyteller of drug dealing
and he's hilarious and just not cheeky little Drew.
No. So at that point, yeah, my 15 minutes of comedy was mostly cheesy, cutesy, self-deprecation. And I walked out there, they were hating me.
Yeah, and obviously.
Obviously not me.
Yeah.
Not me. And so the way they did it, you do a first set, you have some guest comics, you do another set, there's an intermission, then you do a final set before bringing the headliner out, basically. I do the set right before intermission, and it's going so poorly that I'm like, hey, I just need to get them back. I'll tell my best joke right now just to see how they're reacting to me. And I tell my best joke, crickets.
Oh, what are you feeling in that moment where it's just like, what are you feeling when you say your best and then it's nothing? It's
like fighting somebody. You're like, I hit you as hard as I possibly can and you didn't even flinch. Like, I'm about to get knocked out.
Like, I'm fucked.
Like, there's no chance. Like in the movies when they're fighting like a monster. Yeah. And they shoot a missile.
That's a good way to say it.
They're like, we just nuked this creature and it didn't even flinch. It's like, yeah, so we're all dead.
Yeah. Say goodbye to your families.
Yeah, that's daddy now. Get used to it. So it feels that way that I said it. And like, honestly, I was just like, thank God we're at intermission because like I'll come back and just basically bring Joey out. So at intermission.
I think I did pretty well, by the way, in that show. I think I did pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the same one, but you definitely, when you did a guest spot for him, you crushed. You did great. So, but then, yeah, so at intermission, I get told, hey, Joey's not here. He thought I was picking him up from the hotel.
Oh, I remember this story.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he's like, hey, just go out there and just stall until you get the light from me that I got him. So I'm going to go right now and pick him up. I'm like, okay. So I start my set. Already, I'm like, I don't know what to do. So after he says that, I run backstage and I look at my joke book for every joke I've ever written and just try to write down a dirtier set, but I didn't really have good dirty jokes. And I go out there and I'm doing my set. Nobody's laughing for 2.5 minutes. And then somebody screams out, bring Joey out. And I go, yeah, no. I'll bring him out in just a minute. Like, I have to do my time. Then I bring him out. He's like, I bet he's not even here. And I was like, what? No, he's here. He's in the back. He's just right there. And he's like, then bring him out. And I was like, and I'm like, don't boo me. Don't heckle me. And I was like, yeah, just a minute, you guys. So the sound guy never got the message that Joey wasn't there. So the sound guy, Monty, you remember, is flashing me like, get the fuck off stage. What are you doing? Like you're bombing and you're running the light. And he was like freaking out, ready to play me off, I think. But like, it's an awkward, like you can't play the host off.
Was that not the light you were looking for?
No, it was Wayne was going to run into the showroom with his phone and just light me from the side. Okay. He's like, I'll light you from the side. So I'm 4 minutes in, people are heckling. They want Joey. I'm doing terrible. The sound guy thinks that I'm running the light.
Yeah.
And still haven't seen Wayne. And then maybe 5 minutes later, I see Wayne. I'm in the middle of a joke that I can tell is not going to go over.
Yeah.
And I just go, all right, well, that's my time. And I just stop in the middle of a joke. I don't even deliver a punchline. I'm like, are you guys ready for a headliner? And they lost their shit because it was like anything but this guy.
Oh my God, the stress.
And I walked off stage. Joey did his set. And then afterwards, Joey had only heard the last like minute of my set. He's like, he like commented something like, yeah, you know, you got to work on your jokes a little bit, kid. And I was like, I do.
No, we all know this.
Yeah, I'm aware. So that one scarred me. That was obviously 9 years ago. So what did you do
after that? You gave up?
Yeah, I gave up. Really? No, that was one where I was like, okay, I need to be prepared for any type of audience.
You're just ready to walk into the ocean?
Yeah. I need to like know also when I can say no to a show. Like if it's just not going to be a show for me, say no.
Yeah, like that was a mismatch.
That was a mismatch. And I jumped at the opportunity because I was like, this is huge. It's incredible. I didn't even know Joey Diaz, honestly. Like, there's comedians where it's like, will you open for this person? And if you don't know them and then you check them out and they're not your style, like, it's okay to say no, I think.
I think so.
But, like, that was one where if I'd known...
It's hard to say no.
It's so hard to say no.
Especially if it is a big comedian like Joey Diaz, you're like, well, I should open for them.
Yeah.
But you have to know the comic because you have to know their audience.
Yeah.
And it's like, if that audience comes in and they're into someone like Joey, it's like, they're probably not going to be into your cutesy little jokes.
I talked to the staff at Cobb's about who I was supposed to host for recently that canceled last minute, and they were like, "Oh, they would have eaten you up."
You think?
Yeah, they told me that.
Why? Because her
The
audience
crowd was so drunk, so wild, talkative until she got on stage, and then they were like, "Ah!"
Yeah,
and
I can see that
screaming the whole time. He's like, "If they had you host, they
That's
would
probably
not."
why she doesn't have a host.
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
like,
that makes sense.
it's like they would not have listened to you. Your jokes would not have resonated with them. I'm like,
good. You know, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And that night with Joey obviously happened for a reason because then you learned. You learned some lessons out of it.
It was good. How about you? I'm excited.
Okay, so I actually have my first. I've been booed off stage, and I actually have it on recording.
Yeah. Are you going to give the context or just play it and then? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to give the context.
Okay.
So, should I give the context? I don't know. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just play it. You can. So in this.
Yeah, play it and then context afterwards is funnier.
You can hear in this recording the progression of the booze. So already from the beginning, you can hear how rowdy the audience is and how organized it is. And then I'll let you know what happens. So this is the beginning. For the record, it's very hard to hear, and so if we can, we'll play it over.
Yeah.
But basically, I've gotten on stage and I just said Sacramento, and they're like Sacramento.
So yelling.
It's like
over.
crazy. Okay. All right. What I'm saying is not important. Just listen for the booze. Now they're starting to boo. You can hear everyone talking over me now. They're now clapping and booing me off stage. Okay, so they have officially played me off of the stage now. They've officially played me off the stage.
Done.
I'm done.
Apollo style.
Apollo style. That was literally the style of the show.
Yep.
First off, we started late. It was somewhere in the Bay. Where was it? Do you remember?
Daly City.
It was in Daly City, California. And Drew came with me. Were you on the show too?
No.
Oh, lucky.
No. Yeah.
So it was in Daly City. It was a comedy show before a birthday party.
Yep.
We started very late, and there were 25 comedians on the show, and I was number 18, I think.
Yeah, that
out
sounds
of
about
25.
Right. Yeah.
So when I get there, first off, we start late. We start at least 30 or 45 minutes late.
Yeah, almost an hour, I thought.
Almost an hour late. That already is annoying.
People were there an hour before the show.
Yeah.
So they're drinking and hanging out for 2 hours.
So they're drinking and for 2 hours. So after 2 hours of drinking and hanging out, the show starts.
So we're like, hey, you've just been having fun with each other, but now shut up.
And watch everyone.
and
watch 25 comedians. And then after these 25 comedians, we can all have a dance party.
Yeah.
But
they didn't even announce that part of it.
It was just known.
No.
Oh.
Remember? It was 3 comedians before you. They were like, all right. Because remember, there was how many people got booed off early on?
Yeah, a lot. But no?
No.
Oh, really?
2?
Oh, okay.
1 or 2?
I do.
Most people did their full 5. even if people weren't really
also,
into it.
25 comedians to do 5 minutes each.
With a host in between doing
that was doing jokes, and it was
Yep.
it was such a long show. It was very disorganized, and I guess maybe they announced it for
3 comedians before you went up. They went out there, they said, hey, just so you know, once the show's over, we got birthday cake, we got chicken, and then we're gonna start dancing. And
and then they're like, oh, hurry up.
They're like, oh, now we can hurry it up then.
So then they started booing it. Pretty much everyone. Not everyone got booed off stage. There was a couple that got to finish their set. I went up there and was like, I'm from Sacramento. Here's a joke. And they were like, boo. And I was like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
That recording was 1 minute and 45 seconds long.
Yep.
That is how long it took for me to press record, be introed, get on stage, and then be booed. And I stopped the recording.
Yep.
So it was traumatizing. I remember leaving and being like, I didn't get paid to do this. I drove all the way out here, which was at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I never want to have that feeling again.
No.
And so I basically went home and was like, I didn't like cry or anything, but I was just kind of like, fuck, like, how do I make sure that doesn't happen again? And it honestly, it's like when you are riding a bike and then your worst fear is falling off and scraping your knee, and then you do it and you're like, that hurt. Yeah. And then you're like, but I'm like, fine. And you just get back up and ride it. Yeah. So that's what I learned is like, how do I not fall like that again? So next, if that ever happens to me again, I'm going to go up there and be like, you better not boo me. Like, yeah. Yeah.
In that moment, did you take it personally? Did you?
No.
Okay. You understood, like, it's
I understood,
the style of the show and like,
it was
not
an Apollo style show. So they were actually encouraged to boo people off that they didn't enjoy.
Yeah. And they reminded them during once the show's over, remember, you can boo them off.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So like, I didn't take it personal. But I was like, damn, I didn't want to be one of the people they booed off.
Yeah.
But I did. And I also was considering all the factors, and I was like, well, that's why they booed me off. Okay. But now, do I think I would get my full 5 minutes? I think I would. Even as comic 18.
Okay.
I think they'd be like, this is a treat.
Yeah.
You know? Because I don't know, but I mean, when we talk bomb, no laughter, and then got booed off stage.
And you can hear that one just start booing.
Yeah,
just hold a boo.
Like she was a boo cow. Like she was boo mooing me.
It was terrible.
Crazy. Yeah. But I've also had a ton of bombs where I've gone on stage.
So many.
Okay.
Just kidding.
I've had a few bombs where I just go on stage and I'm just like, ooh, I'm like pulling the collar and I'm like, oh, okay, tough crowd. Yeah. And I've gotten complete silence and the stress sweat. Yeah. And when I get those moments, I literally just go home and I'm like, I either just I have the mindset of like when I played basketball, my coach would always be like, after we lose a game, do what you got to do today to be upset about this game. But tomorrow when you wake up, it's a new day and we got to work for the next game. And so, so anytime I had a tough show or a tough gig, I would go home and I would do what I needed to do, whether I needed to cry, plan out my unaliving myself. Like whatever I needed to do to be like asking myself questions. Why am I doing this? What am I doing? All these things, and then go to sleep. And then the next day is like, all right, well, what now it's time to work for the next gig. What can I learn from last night? How can I prepare for the next one so that doesn't happen again? Yeah. And that was the mindset of me that I had as an athlete, because that was what was instilled in me. And so that's what I have as a mindset for entertainer as well. Yeah.
It's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you stand up.
Stand up.
Yep. I thought of it. I was like, it fits.
Yeah. Oh my God. Fun.
Fall down 6 times, stand up 7.
Oh, we love it. Yeah. Okay, good. I think we got some good insight on bombing.
Yeah. I think the message is, don't give up. If you bomb every single show,
I think also the message is bombing isn't bad.
And it's not bad. It's a learning experience.
As long as you are learning from it and not blaming the audience, or I mean, I did blame that show.
Some audiences you have to. We talk about that on other episodes. Yeah. 1% of the time it's the audience.
You have to consider everything, but at the end of the day, know that you're in control of how you act on stage. So like, even though that situation was we started an hour late. People were drunk. They wanted to party. I was comic 18 out of 25. Like, even though there was all these contributing factors for like basically setting me up to fail, I still came out of that going, well, if my jokes were funny enough, then maybe they would have let me talk for 5 minutes instead of talk for just 45 seconds or a minute or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So it's at the end of the day, it is you. So just come out of the bomb. Bombing feels bad, but it's not always bad as long as you grow. Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We agree.
Ugh.
Gross.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Love and Comedy Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Love and Comedy Podcast. Also follow me at Aurora Sing Comedy.
And follow me
at Drew Schaefer Comedy. And also make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, rate, all the things that you can do to interact with this podcast so we can keep spreading info and insight on pursuing love while pursuing a career in stand-up comedy. And we release episodes every Thursday.
Is that it?
That's it?
That's
Okay.
all of it, yeah.
Love you.
Comedy you.